All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are exploring an absolutely mind-bending narrative drawn from a massive lecture given way back in August 1990 at the Makuhari Messe in Japan. We're talking about a crowd of over 18,000 people. The lecture is titled The Enlightenment of the Great Universe, and it presents this incredibly detailed, sweeping vision of humanity's cosmic origins, the hidden structure of the multiverse, and what it means for our spiritual destiny. We're going to neutrally unpack the speaker's narrative today, stepping right into this vast, sci-fi-like epic to understand the core messages being presented. It's quite a ride, so buckle up.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap through time and space for today's explainer. 1. The encounter 17,000 years ago. 2. Earth migration 300 million years ago. 3. Structure of the universe and true love. 4. The end of Mu continent. And 5. Eternal reincarnation and the future.
Starting right off with Section 1, the encounter 17,000 years ago.
So the source paints this incredibly vivid picture to start us off. We are on the ancient, legendary continent of Mu, out in the Pacific Ocean. It's dusk. The great leader of Mu, a 40-year-old man named La Mu, is sitting on a rock by the ocean, meditating and pondering the nature of God. Suddenly, the stars above start moving in shifting colors, and out of the sky this glowing orange object descends. Picture the scale of this, a massive ship, roughly 20 meters across, hovering just a few meters right above the ocean surface, literally a stone's throw from the beach. The light shifts into a brilliant 7-color rainbow, a door opens, and a staircase of pure light extends down to the sand.
And out steps, well, a visitor. The narrative describes this alien as pretty small, just about 80 centimeters tall, wearing a brilliantly glowing suit. The being looks remarkably human, actually, except for 2 large antenna-like ears on the back of its head. Without even moving its mouth, the alien communicates telepathically, greeting Lamu with a name he's never heard before, El Cantare. The visitor claims this is Lamu's true, eternal name. Now, when Lamu tries to bow down and worship him, the alien stops him, saying, "No, I'm not a god. I'm a soul ancestor, a cosmic brother." He explains he's just there to observe the rise and fall of Earth's civilizations. To show our true history, the alien projects a massive holographic screen right there on the beach, acting as a portal for the rest of our explainer.
Which brings us to Section 2, Earth migration 300 million years ago.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Because through this alien screen, Lamu and the audience are taken way, way back. The lecture outlines a super specific sequence for how humanity arrived on Earth. It all starts on a distant planet called Beelda, or Beta. There's this fierce debate raging among their leaders about whether it's right to harness divine energy to artificially create new souls. Following this intense debate, a massive faction of about 60 million people decides it's time to leave. They board a fleet of colossal, 1-kilometer-long cigar-shaped motherships. They cross the cosmos and eventually arrive at a young green planet, Earth. The fleet lands perfectly in what we now call the Nile region of northern Africa. The air is breathable, the planet is perfect, and these settlers step out to begin a whole new civilization.
But the settlers didn't come alone. According to the source, as the doors of those motherships opened, out walked the ancestors of the animals we see on farms every single day. Goats, cows, chickens, and even the early ancestors of our household cats. They were originally alien livestock brought from the planet Beelda because the native Earth animals were considered way too ferocious to domesticate. It is definitely a surprising twist, right? I mean, who would have thought of your everyday barnyard chicken as having interstellar origins?
Moving right along to Section 3, Structure of the Universe and True Love.
So the alien's vision scales up drastically here, moving from planetary history to the grand design of the cosmos itself. The speaker describes this breathtaking, philosophical vision of a multiverse. The visible universe we see when we look up at the night sky, it's not everything. It's actually just a tiny fraction of existence. The lecture compares our universe to a single, glistening water droplet sitting on a blade of grass. There are countless other universes, other droplets, all formed and sustained by the energy of a giant singular will, or God. It's a gorgeous metaphor, really, framing our vast cosmos as just a tiny puddle in a much grander spiritual design. And surrounding our physical Earth are layers of invisible spiritual realms. The source maps this all out up to the 9th dimension. The 4th through 6th dimensions are the lower spirit realms, the 7th is the Bodhisattva realm, the 8th the Tathagata realm, and the 9th is the cosmic realm. But here's the really wild part. These higher dimensions aren't isolated. Starting around the 8th dimension, there are massive, transparent spiritual tubes connecting Earth to other planets. Think of it like an intergalactic highway for souls. Advanced beings use this spiritual network to travel and collaborate across the universe. No physical spaceships required.
And this brilliantly illustrates the profound contrast the alien makes about how humans define love. The visitor harshly critiques our conventional definition, which is so often rooted in possession, attachment, and the desire to control or own someone. The alien explains that this kind of love is actually the root of all conflict and war on Earth. Contrast that with cosmic true love. Cosmic love is the act of giving freely, with the absolute sole intention of making others shine infinitely beautifully. The visitor urges Lamu to realize that true love is never, ever about ownership.
All right, on to Section 4, the end of Mu Continent. The holographic screen shifts again, and we are slammed back to the pressing reality of Lamu on the beach. The alien reveals a really dark prophecy. The great continent of Mu is doomed. In 1,000 years, it will sink entirely into the ocean. Why? Because as their civilization advanced, the people became incredibly arrogant. They abandoned their inner spiritual lives just to build grand monuments to their own egos, constantly trying to control one another. Seeing his beloved homeland swallowed by the sea in this vision, Lamu is just crushed with despair and a profound feeling of powerlessness.
But the alien gives him this incredibly empowering piece of wisdom in response. He tells Lamu, humans only have now. Living the now to the highest degree is the only way to save the soul. It's fascinating how the lecture takes all of these massive, mind-bending sci-fi concepts, multiverses, alien migrations, and distills them right down into immediate, actionable advice. You can't control the distant future, but you can always elevate your soul right now, in the present moment.
Finally, we reach Section 5, Eternal Reincarnation and the Future. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it maps the cyclical nature of human civilization through a single soul. The alien reveals that the sinking of Mu isn't the end. The soul of Lamu, whose true cosmic name is El Kantara, survives and continues to reincarnate to guide humanity. According to the text, 12,000 years ago, he became Thoth in Atlantis. 7,000 years ago, King Rian Art Crowd in the Andes. 4,300 years ago, Hermes in Greece. And 2,600 years ago, Gautama Buddha in India. It suggests we don't just evolve in a straight line. We build great civilizations, we fall, and we rise again, guided by these recurring figures.
The lecture highlights a super fascinating conflict from one of those past lives, King Cloud in the Andes, 7,000 years ago. During his reign, UFOs were constantly visiting Earth, and the people excitedly started worshiping them as gods. But King Cloud actually had to stop them. He warned that not all visiting aliens are benevolent. In fact, some of these UFOs were beaming down lasers and mutilating the very livestock that had been brought to Earth millions of years prior, using them for cruel experiments. His message was clear: do not blindly worship what comes from the sky.
So the crucial point is this ultimate teaching from King Cloud, which really echoes throughout the whole lecture. Seek the universe within your own heart. Instead of looking outward for saviors and spaceships, the true path to understanding God and protecting ourselves is to explore the infinite spiritual cosmos inside our own minds. When our hearts are elevated, darkness just can't touch us.
Which brings us to the ultimate challenge posed by the speaker at the end of that 1990 lecture. As we navigate the immense complexities and potential crises of the 2000s and beyond, the test remains. Will we repeat the mistakes of the Mu continent, completely destroyed by ego and the desire to control? Or will we heed the ancient warnings, reject false idols, and finally cultivate that true, beautiful universe within our own hearts? It is a wildly provocative thought and a fascinating narrative to unpack. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible source material today.